All right, everybody, welcome in NorCal Sports Network. San Francisco Giants last night, 17 hits, 13 runs. Tonight, bats nowhere to be found as they drop another one. 3-0, Lou. 3-0. And we'll go over this. Not much to cover as far as the game goes. You know, it's at that time of the year where other sports are on. You're watching them. You know, I'm watching Thursday night football. And I'm like, I'll just check in, just look. You know, baseball, you can just read and then scroll to the action so quickly. And the Giants are so boring. It's like you're really not missing anything. So, but the Giants lose a game, and the Mets and the Braves are idle. So, Lou, let's take a little run jog over to our tragic number here. All right, we got the tragic number here, guys. Let's mark off the 9 here. Hold on here. All right, there we go. We're going to mark off the 9. And the tragic number is now down to 8.
And Dan, you know what's amazing about baseball? And it happens a lot when a team scores, I'd say, over 8 to 10 runs. The next game, they can't hit anything.
That's right.
The most amazing thing about baseball. One game, you get 17 hits. I don't remember how many they get, 12 runs. And today they got 0 runs on a lousy 3 weak hits.
Didn't they have 5 hits tonight?
Oh, see, I mean, they were so excited I fell asleep.
I think they got a couple. They got a couple in the 9th, a couple hits in the 9th. So yeah, prior to that though, you're right. It was 3 hits. It was just pathetic. They had 5 hits tonight, and the guys that got hits tonight were Wade and Canna late. Encarnacion, he hit a bullet in the bottom of the 9th. 2 hits, and then Casale got 1 hit. The rest, Bailey came in to pinch hit and into the game there. Wisely over 3, Luciano over 3, Ramos over 4, Yaz over 4 with the sombrero, 3 strikeouts.
Twice in 1 week.
Chapman over 3 with a walk. You know, this is what they do. This is what I told you guys. I think all of us kind of knew it in the chat here. We all saw that this was coming. This is what 500 teams do. They up one night, down, up, down, up, down. There's no rhythm. Steve Ortega says I don't know. Series. Yep. As predicted here, I got that one right. I missed the San Diego series. And I think San Diego comes in here on Friday and takes 2 or 3. Wouldn't shock me to see the Padres sweep the sweep. The Padres, this is time of year where, you know, they're playing for their lives. The Giants are just playing out the string right now. That's all this is. The Giants are playing out the string. Talk about what you saw tonight, Lou, from Camilo Doval.
Well, I have 3 things, but let me start off with Doval. This is why I am not a fan of Melvin. I don't know if anybody saw it in the 7th inning. He basically, you know, it's gotten to the point now where the announcers know if he doesn't get the first strike over, it's a problem with Doval. It's all mental, but it's been going on now since they didn't listen to Dan and trade him at the trade deadline. He has been inconsistent. His ERA in the second half of the season is over 6. You can tell he doesn't like that he's not closing anymore. He doesn't know his role, but basically he walked a guy, should have walked 2. The second guy up actually swung at a slider a foot outside. Then the next pitch, he almost hit a guy. The guy literally the guy walked, stole on the first pass ball, went to second, on the second pass ball, went to third, and then scored on a wild pitch. Doval is not there mentally. He's completely lost. He shows no emotion. I think he's done. I don't know why they would play him the rest of the season, because if they don't figure him out mentally, he's completely useless. But what really pissed me off is, I don't know if you saw it, but Casale catching didn't go out to talk to him. Our pitching coach didn't go out to talk to him. Or
settle him down, yeah.
Settle down. You could see he was all over the place. He only could get his slider over. He had no command of his fastball. And the Giants, a manager did nothing. And this is what I'm a little sick of about Melvin. Melvin doesn't do anything except literally stand there and sort of do his job. We were spoiled by Bochy. You got to get someone, at least get a pitching coach. Like Rags would always go over and say to the pitcher after, hey, this is the problem. With Doval, I think the pitching staff and the manager and the players are sort of sick of his attitude. He never shows any emotion. He's never upset. But why bring him in? Why bring him in? He doesn't need to come in. But
they don't have much.
Game, you got to have faith, and he has no faith at all. It's completely useless to bring him in.
Yeah,
I just thought it was bad managerial skills, and again, that's where I'd rather have Doval in, because I think Doval at least would have gone out.
Yeah, I like the some of these comments here. Let's get to them. Remember when all those Wisely fans saying Wisely is carrying the team? I could never wrap my head around him being a good player. Exactly. That's what I said. This guy.
He had one big hit against the Dodgers on that Friday night. That was it.
He got hot for a little bit, and then everybody's like, oh, why is he hitting over 300? Yeah, you know what? A lot of guys hit 300.
What is he hitting now?
I don't even know. Let me
he's probably about the 230, 240.
Wisely, he's probably in the 270 range because he hasn't had that many at-bats, I think. But you know what? I have no idea. Let me pull up the box score here, and we'll see what Brett Wisely is doing. The
other thing is who we went against. We went against an A's retread pitcher, and we couldn't hit him.
Wisely now on the season is hitting 239. You were right. He's down to 2. I hadn't looked at him for a while. He's
gotten a lot of 0 for 3s recently.
Yeah. Also, in the comments section, somebody mentioned something about Farhan. Where's excuse? Giants got lucky yesterday. Okay, how about this one? Outlaw. They're terrible. They are crazy with ticket prices. $70 parking, overpriced food. I'll watch them on TV.
I said that when I was on. It was either on when we had Ned on. My tickets went up another $200. What was it? $2,000.
Wow,
for the season.
Unbelievable. So $500 a ticket. They went
basically, yeah, over the 81 games, but still.
So let's do that. 81, 500. Okay, so 81 games. So they went up
another
an average of $6.17 a ticket game
for a non-500 team.
They're going up. Wow, unbelievable! That's unbelievable.
And it only went up. It only went up $2,500 because we signed a 7-year agreement instead of a 4. Remember, they have that 7-year, 4-year, 3-year.
Yep.
It's just awful.
Today,
somebody, I don't know what Farhan thing, but I'd love to hear from the chat if anyone heard the KMBR Farhan show today.
Mm-hmm.
I see Niner Trump. He says he's coming back. KMBR loves this guy. He has him like every other week. It was, Dan, I'll tell you how fired up I was. I was fired up before the game started tonight. So on the Farhan show, he basically said he made a mistake, which sort of, couldn't believe it, because he said, hey, with our pitching, I thought we'd have the best pitching staff. Yeah. And it was going to carry us through the second half. Obviously,
speaking of the pitching, though, Birdsong pitched well tonight.
And it was good to see him come back because he's had a couple rough things.
Right. Birdsong tonight pitched 5 innings, only gave up 2 hits, walked only 1, 4 strikeouts in a very efficient 68 pitch.
He was sort of smooth tonight again.
Yeah. So good sign there. Hayden Birdsong. If you can get Harrison going and, you get Webb coming back and maybe you get a couple of other pitchers, sign a couple guys, maybe you're on to something. But what about this comment from Alan Wiley? He says, Farhan said on KMBR today that next year he hopes to have more veterans and less reliance on youth. Does he really think the youth cost him this season? No, come on. Don't try and find a scapegoat because you had to play young guys. That who signed these young guys?
This is what I heard. I heard what Farhan said. And it was sort of ridiculous, Dan. What he said is, this year we found a few diamonds in the rough. We have youth, but what I think is we don't really have deep depth. So I think what we need to do in the offseason is pick up more veterans. Guys have maybe been in the league 6 to 8 years. And I literally looked at my my radio and said, what? So you can get more retread A's and guys that nobody else wants? And they were telling him, he goes, we don't need more veterans. And he goes, well, yeah, I think we do just for the more depth. He goes, because the problem is when you play the youth and they're not doing good, really we only have youth on the bench. Well, sorry, but that's all your fault, Farhan. But he kept saying he needs at least 3 or 4 more veterans like Kratman, guys of that. But, the thing is why? I think, if you look at our youth, we don't need veterans. We need guys that can actually make contact. It made me think, I don't know if and we'll probably never see this in our generation, but does anybody know who leads the National League, Chad, in batting average this year? Does anybody know?
Which player or team?
Yeah, which player?
Which player leads the
league, the National League in average? And I'll give you a hint. It's going to be his 3rd team in 3 years.
Oh, Luis Arias probably then.
And if you remember, Luis Arias got traded, was it May 8th, for a pick that isn't even in baseball anymore. So don't tell me Farhan knows what he's doing. That's what the Giant player, that's what he needs. Do
you remember in the offseason when I was yelling, get Luis Arias, he can be had. You could have had him. I bet you could have got him for Doval at the time, or not a whole lot you would have had to give up. And
it was the 25th overall guy for San Diego.
25th prospect. Yeah. So they could have done that. They could have given a 20th prospect, 18th. They could have gotten Luis Arias, but Farhan is not aggressive enough. He needs to be canned, people. This guy does not know how to set up a roster, period. I'm sitting here telling him how to run this thing, and clearly could see you need contact hitters in that Oracle Park, and you got a lineup full of strikeout hitters. Imagine if you had Arias coming back next year.
And you bat him like 3rd, move Chapman down to 5th, and you could have had Solar protecting. I mean, we have nobody that can hit the ball consistently because all of our guys try to hit homers. Yeah. Like tonight's game, which was amazing, Dan, is the homer for Milwaukee was a right-hand batter, and he hit it right field.
Right.
They kept going. They kept going to the right. So I'm sick and tired of everybody saying, oh, it's the ballpark. Because when other teams come in here, they have right-hand batters that hit it off the right field wall. They hit it into the stands. We got to stop using the ballpark as a problem. The problem is we're getting average at best players. And what happens? We get great pitching, average hitters, and we're below 500. We're right around 500 like you said all year. But, if you would have had someone like Lewis, you wouldn't be in this mess and runners in scoring position.
Correct.
Tonight, again, we were 0-6, runners scoring position again.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's 15 Ks tonight, Robert Brown.
Yeah.
Ugly. Yeah.
And I think we're only 2 behind of leading the league again. Remember last year the Giants led it and they were going to improve?
Right. I mean, tonight was an interesting night. I mean, baseball doesn't have a lot going tonight. There was a lot of off days for teams, but just looking at the standings tonight of the wild card, the American League wild card, if you take a look at it, Baltimore's 2 games behind the Yankees now for the division, but they've got
the Giants are going to have to go to Baltimore next road trip.
Yep. I mean, this is where the season ends mathematically next week in Baltimore.
Oh, and then who's second?
For Kansas City is second.
Oh, guess where the Giants get to go after Baltimore?
Yep.
I mean, these American League teams are saying, Giants, you can't hit, come to All Ballpark. We'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And it's like the White Sox or the Cubs are coming. I mean, the White Sox or the Marlins are coming in.
Right.
And Colorado. I mean, it's amazing. And then look at these teams at home. That's the other thing. The way we're playing is we might not even be 500 at home by the end of the year.
Let's take a look at the Giants right now. The Giants are 41-34 at home and 31-41 on the road. Okay,
so they'll make it.
They just need one more win. But if we take a look at the standings here in the National League,
and is that updated 72-75?
That is updated. Yep.
Okay.
They're 72-75. They can maximum win 87 games. That means the Braves or Mets, 8 games for the Braves to get to and 8 wins for the Mets, or 8 wins for the Braves finishes it off, or 4 wins for the Mets, 4 for the Braves, and 4 losses for the Giants. So, their playoff odds are like 0.001.
And Dan, you might be right. If you look, they're 8.5 behind. The Reds are 10 and Pittsburgh's 10.
Right. I told you they're
get caught by both. That's what you predicted.
That's what I predicted. And I think with the schedule, they very may well happen. Ben Bamboo says, Dan, can you read and react to the Chronicle article that was just put out entitled "Why Firing Farhan Suddenly Looks More Palatable"? We read one last night. I don't have my Twitter up, which pulled.
And that was brought up on the KNBR thing, Farhan, about the contract. He said he didn't read it. He said there's things where 26 is not guaranteed. Next year it is, but it's sort of an option that the Giants would have to make for him to work in 2026.
So next year's guarantee. What do you mean he said he didn't read it? Come on.
I know.
Who doesn't at that level?
A.K.A. Pinocchio.
Yeah, at that level, you're going to tell me you didn't read it or have your attorney read it. Come on. Come on.
And KNBR could have really pressed him, but Tolbert wasn't there, so they had the guy who always wears the sweater filling in. Ray
on KNBR?
Sort of that guy with the mustache.
Oh, Ray Ratto.
No,
Ray Ratto.
Ray Ratto. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Farhan got off, Ray Ratto goes, wait a minute. You guys, people got to realize one thing. He's had this team for 6 years. They're not going to make the playoffs again. How is he still employed? Any other person that is with the company for 6 years and they had one fluke year and they spend more money and they're worse than the year before, should not get an should do. And of course, Farhan was out by then. He said, hey, what he should do is, Giants, cut your losses now. It's only a GM salary. You have other managers you're paying. You got to do what's best for the fans, and you got to do what's best for the ball team.
Why are you kicking the can down the road? They got to fire him. They've got to fire him. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm going to have to.
And I don't want the same team next year. I don't want veterans like Yaz coming back. Just do me a favor. Just play the youth. Admit to the people, hey, guys, we're going to play the youth. We're going through, growing pains. Hopefully in 2026, we'll be back. If he says that, we wouldn't have to be so upset. But Farhan, he has this complete BS where, he's scared to tell the truth. He's scared he's bad at the job. It's okay, Farhan. No one's going to deny it. You're bad at what you do. Walk, leave. We need fresh meat here.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
And then, Dan, the other thing I just want to talk about tonight is, the Bailey situation, he's really struggled the whole second half. He had the huge game yesterday where he went 3 for 5, should have gone 4 for 5. He's finally getting he was even excited last night. And what do they do tonight? They play Casale and take him to the bench. And that's the one thing. Bochy's story was, if you hit a homer, you're back in the lineup. Here's a guy that's been struggling. He finally gets 3 hits, and they say, hey, the next day you come in, you're all excited. Hey, we're going to start. You're going to have the day off. Thanks. Come on. It doesn't do anything for the confidence, and these guys are young. We keep talking about the continuity. There is no continuity. Look at the lineup again tonight. Nobody knows where they're playing. Nobody knows where they're batting. And it really, if it's not Farhan's fault, then it's Melvin's fault. Then you got to get rid of him too.
Yep, absolutely. It's a mess. It's a mess. I knew it was going to be a mess. It was easy to predict. I wish I could pull up my Twitter on here. I don't know why I can't get Twitter. They say it when I hit enter your username and password.
Yeah, you've been having problems with that for a while.
And I cannot. I used to be able to get it up on this screen, and I can't. Maybe I'll try it one more time. See if I can pull it off here, because I've got a lot of stuff to put in here. I already have an account. Okay, let's just try this.
Mania. We couldn't even hit Mania tonight. I mean, it's amazing. We go against these pitchers that aren't that good, and they make us. It's almost like Cy Young's going against us. And by the way, did you happen to see the big crowd today?
Yeah, not
again. But it's okay. This weekend with San Diego, there'll be a lot of Padre fans, and they're giving away a 49er hat.
I've been seeing them show the hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does X not work when it says enter your username and it says incorrect? I have one username, and it says the @ at your username, and then whatever.
Was it one of your great tweets that you put out? What was it?
I was just going to go back to the things I said at the beginning of the season.
Okay.
That shows that basically what I said is this team's going to struggle to score runs because they got too much swing and miss. And lo and behold, they got the worst swing and miss in the National League, or second to the worst. They're awful.
Yeah. How about? And I think we're 2 or 3 strikeouts behind being. Remember, last year, 2 years ago, we had the worst defense in the league. We're going to improve it. I think we improved two teams. Last year, we had the most strikeouts, and we broke a record, I believe, for the most strikeouts. And this year, I think we lead by 2 of being in the cellar again.
Yeah. Yep. Los, the good news
you are
is
correct, Los.
Matthew, my buddy Matthew, I think you're underestimating Farhan. He's probably the best GM of all time. And then he says, I'm joking.
Of course.
Look, guys, we got the right up there on the screen. Fire Farhan now. Please, please, please. Come on, Giants. Why? I would love. You know what? I'm going to call the Giants and just.
Why would they keep him? I don't know.
I'm going to call him. I'm going to ask them to see if anyone will come on the show. I don't think they will. There's no way they want to be put on the firing squad. But I will try and ask them to come on the show and answer why. Tell me why Farhan deserves to be back. It's kind of like you're vying for the job as president of the United States. Tell us why you should get our vote. Tell us why Farhan should be back. What has he done? Tell me what he's done for every good thing he's done, I can tell you 2 or 3 bad. Okay? And it would just mean like somebody's got to put him to the test when he's on. Farhan, you're signed for next year. Your teams have not made the playoffs now in 5 of 6 seasons. And in 5 of those 6 seasons, and only 1 of those seasons have you had a winning record. Tell us why you are the man to lead the Giants to the promised land. Put him on the spot. What is he going to say? I mean, he's got his own cackle. It drives me nuts. What is he going to say? Well, we're rebuilding. We got a lot of youth. Well, you just said you don't want the youth back next year. You want more vets. So what is it? What is it that you've done that is positive? Because for every success story you have 2 failures or more.
And Dan, you've been saying this all year. The Giants have no direction at all.
None.
At the trade deadline, they said, "Oh, we have the best pitching staff." By the way, you look good in that hat.
Yeah,
we're gonna have the best pitching staff.
It matches a little bit. Which hat am I going to be wearing?
What this means to me once more veterans. You know what that means? Yaz will be back. They'll sign a 1-year deal. What's his name? The bum from the A's that we got at the trade deadline.
Canna.
He'll be back. And the other thing too is we went over this. There are no free agents out there we can get. We're not going to get Soto. And let me tell you something. The Giants are not going to be 6 years, $180 million for Snell. Why? Because that's a lot for a pitcher. You guys got to remember, Snell's not a young guy. I understand a player that plays position player for 6 years, but you never want to sign a pitcher more than 3 years, really. But 6 years, talk to the Texas Rangers. They have 2 of the best players. They signed each one for over five years. I think one's making $48 million. The other one's making $40. They have 13 starts. And the Giants, where we always seem to get injured, that's, like I said, I think the Giants should get rid of a lot, and I'm sick and tired. We all talk. We have more guys that pull the groin. Last year, I think Yaz pulled his groin 6 times. If these trainers aren't good, get rid of them. Get rid of Farhan. Get rid of our coaches. You know what? Because what we have right now is pathetic. Very minor league. I'd rather see the AAA Giants because at least I know they're going to try.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to wear that Oriole hat a few times next week. 2 minimum, probably maybe 3.
He's got to get the San Diego one broken in for tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's up there. We'll be pulling that one off the shelf. Then we'll be pulling Baltimore. Then right next to it, Kansas City, and then what is it after they?
And then on the way down, once you put them on, Arizona, you can hit the tragic number.
Yeah, the tragic number. Yes. What was I going to mention? Oh,
Dan, hey, I just want to bring up what Red L said. Are you excited that we have Yaz and Canna back next year? How does that get any excitement at all?
They can't come back. I guess Yaz can come back as a 4th outfielder, but come on, Canna. Come on. Canna.
I don't want
Canna. Can we not?
I've already been here 7 years, I think.
Yeah. Can we not? Hey, guys, can you hit that like button, please? I see 18 likes. I've got over 100 people plus 117, 118 watching. Not all of you on YouTube, I know, but can we just hit that little X out of the chat and then just hit the like? It's a crazy world we live in that we got to ask for likes, isn't it? But this stupid.
I completely agree.
I mean, I shouldn't have to ask for likes. I mean, YouTube makes you, though, because they don't give you.
Tomorrow, not next week. Today,
What's that?
Sorry, I was trying to put a like in, and unfortunately, Kamala popped up.
You caught a little of the ad there. Okay, yeah. Oh, there we are. We went up to 23. 5 people just boom, boom, boom. If we can get 10 more, that would be great. 33 is a good number, by the way. Go ahead and hit that like. It does help the show. I want to get to a super chat after this. Being so bad with runners in scoring position is also a mental issue. How are the Giants addressing this? They're not addressing it because they are still putting up a lineup of swing and miss guys. That's what they do. That's all they do.
It sort of reminds me, Dan, do you remember the scene in The Natural when they were saying losing is a disease? And Robert Redford couldn't take it anymore, and he wound up getting out of there.
Hey, look, we're at 32. We bumped from 18 to 32. Thank you, all those of you who hit the like button.
Good job, guys.
Appreciate that. There's a few more of you I know that are just kind of haven't got around to it. Just go ahead and do that. We should have more likes than smaller shows out there for sure. I mean,
I think the reason why we got Farhan, he was in the right place at the right time. And our president, Larry Baer, saw that oh my God, he worked for the A's. And now he works for the Dodgers. And he was desperate, and he went to get him. If you remember, he was like, 4th or 5th in command. It wasn't like he was the top dog.
No, Farhan. I'll tell you a story on Farhan. Thanks, Louie. Appreciate that. I don't know why we got him. He's a Dodger reject. The Dodgers didn't want him. Look, Farhan was with the A's. Here's the deal. Farhan was with the A's, and the A's were thrilled that the Dodgers took him. And the Dodgers took him as a guy that they just, I'm not going to get into it, but Farhan he's not qualified. Okay. Let me just leave it there. He wasn't qualified for the assistant GM, and he sure in the hell isn't qualified for the top dog position. Guys, look at Farhan, how he talks. He's afraid to make any decisions, any moves. You're not going to get anything out of Farhan aggressive-wise. Scott Boras owns him. Scott Boras set him up with Chapman. I mean, I guarantee you, and I said it here on the other night, I think the Giants, Boras asked for 6, would have settled, hoping he'd get 5, and would have settled for 4 years. I can almost guarantee you it, that he asked for 6. You always, when you negotiate, you always ask for more than what you really want. And then sometimes there's foolish people that'll just say, okay, without even countering. And so if you're strong, I could see Boras saying, we want 6 years or we're walking out. I've already got,
were you surprised they signed him so early?
I think Farhan was desperate. And I also think it might have even been the owners that want to build around Chapman. I don't even know if that was all of Farhan, because Farhan doesn't sign guys for that long generally.
Never.
He's risk adverse. So, but I think Farhan doesn't have as much clout as we think he does. I think he's having to do what anyone else is. Yeah, whatever the owners are telling him. I think he's but I do think the Giants, I think Boras probably would have settled if they said, we'll do 5 and that's it. We're not going to go any higher. They would have probably done it. I think he would have, with the 4 years, he might have taken that. But 6 years, whatever. You know what? You're not going to enjoy the last 2.
And he wanted to be here, so Farhan doesn't care.
Yeah. You're not going to enjoy the last 2 to 3 years of that contract. It's going to be really bad. When Chapman hits 35, forget it. He's probably got, he's played well this year.
He'll be 32 in April.
Yeah, he'll probably play good for 2-3 years more. As far, when I say good,
240.
Yeah, I mean,
homers.
He's hitting
200 strikeouts.
Good this year based on what they have, but you can't. He can't be the centerpiece to build around. Like, you can't have players that are less valuable than him. You got to have star hitters above him. I don't know where you're going to get that. I don't know where you're going to get it. So,
and Dan, one of the things I wanted to bring up is, and the chat should see this, in the last 2 weeks, you've had 2 former GMs of the Giants on this show. And if you saw the way they talked, how tough things are to be a GM, how a trade takes place, you could see why the Giants were successful. And when you hear Farhan speak, you know why they're failures. Completely different attitudes, the smarts, Farhan, Farhan's like a girl in 7th and 8th grade. She'll tell you what you want to hear, but when reality comes, he runs the other way. He's never truthful, and I think the problem around here is, this is the first year where, 98.5 fans are really turning against Farhan, where he thought he could just walk and nobody would ever complain. But now you got even some of the homers, Alex, are writing about him. The New York Post is writing about him. The Giants, attendance, season ticket holders are dropping. And everyone has the same answer. What's wrong with the team? It's never a certain player. They never do a category. It all comes back to Farhan.
Right.
And I don't
Robert, I got to disagree. Robert Rothberg says the Giants are far better than what their record indicates. I'd say they're far worse.
What do you mean? We're worse than last year, and we spent $46 million more.
I think they're a worse team than their record indicates. I think they're fortunate to be 72 and 75. I'm surprised they're not like 68 wins and 79 losses right now, because they don't hit enough, and it's so bad. I mean, this is really,
and there's no future. There's nothing to look forward to in the future.
We had Cody on last night, and we talked about, he thinks that there's they could be pretty good if they made a few moves, but the moves are getting 2 players, and one of them, Adames being one, and
you liked him for a while.
Yeah, and Anthony Santander of Baltimore, or Teoscar Hernandez. You need one of those 2 guys plus Willie Adames. Now you have the nucleus of a lineup. You could throw out a lineup, something that looks like this. Let's say you got
Chapman and Ramos. And
let's say you had Jung-Hoo Lee batting. I don't know if he's a second place hitter or first place, but
maybe Fitzgerald, the way he works the bat, he could bunt.
I want to see more out of Fitzgerald. He's got a lot of swing and miss, and he can hit the slider. He's a fastball hitter. He's going to have to learn to hit the off-speed pitch, because teams are throwing pitches that, break, look like a strike, break out, and he's swinging and missing almost every time. You look at Fitzgerald, most of his hits come off fastballs.
Yeah.
And the league's going to figure that out, and he's not going to see any fastballs. So I would say, if you could go out and sign a good hitting outfielder that doesn't strike out a lot. So I'd have to look. I think Teoscar does strike out a lot. I'm not sure about
Santander. Right in with us.
They need somebody that makes contact, and then they need Willie Adames drives and runs, and he can play shortstop every day. Don't chase Soto and neglect the market while you're chasing Soto and Sasaki of Japan, and you're chasing those guys and losing out to Soto to New York and Sasaki to LA. to the Dodgers, you're going to miss out on Adames, just like you did the other year when you were chasing
Judge.
You chase Judge. You missed out on the shortstops, and then you all of a sudden
four
shortstops. Let's get Correa. Let's just sign him, $13 million or 13 years, and it's like, oh, we can't do that.
Dan, I have a question for you.
That's a good point, Louis. It's a good point. They're gonna
being a fan like me. I had some guy today said, Lou, what would you do if you were the GM of the Giants? Would you go 6 years, $300 million for Soto, or 6 years, $210 for Snell?
Say that again.
6 years, $300 million for Soto, or 6 years, $210 million for Snell.
Oh, it's a no doubter. For me,
so you do Soto. 6 years, $50 million a year for Soto instead of $35 million, which he believes Snell is going to get.
Oh, I would do Soto in a heartbeat. I mean, you can find pitching. You can't find hitting here. Okay. You need a star player, but that's not going to happen 6 years. Soto's getting 10 plus. Mark it down.
Yeah, I don't think he's leaving New York.
Soto's getting 10 plus. He turned down 440. I don't know how many years it was.
Yeah, I think it was, 10?
No, I think it was more. I think it was
12,
like
12 maybe?
12 or 13 years for 440. I think he's getting, if it's only 10 years, he's getting 550.
500 million?
550.
550.
If it's 12 years, he's getting 6 to 650.
I think guys on the chat, you guys got to realize why these numbers are so big. Does anybody know how old Soto is?
He's 26.
Even though he's been playing forever.
He's 26.
25.
Is he 25 still?
Yeah. That's a big difference when you have a great player at that age. Robert was asking why we think Kratman's 6-year deal isn't good. He said if he's a GM, he would have signed him. Kratman's 32. So in 3 years, instead of batting 240, he's going to be doing Mark Hill batting 205. And we don't know if his defense is going to be just as good. There's a big difference. Dan the other day went over guys his age between 32 and 34, how bad their averages drop. Chapman's striking out 180. He'll be up to 220. We went over it.
Well, guys, what happens? What happens? What's the first thing that goes when you get older as a hitter? Does anybody in the chat know the first thing that goes?
Could it be bat speed?
You got it. You nailed it. It's bat speed. So what happens when those balls that clear the fence and the bat speed slows down? They're no longer home runs. They're flyouts to the warning track.
Like yes.
Yeah, they become warning track power instead of bleachers. And Louis had it too. Your durability starts going. You get nagging little injuries, soft tissue injuries. It's a nagging hamstring or a groin injury here or there. And then it's instead of playing 160 games, you're playing 140 games. And now it's 120 games. We saw it with Longoria. Remember how often Longoria got hurt for the Giants? So it's the bat speed, and Chapman already has one swing path. He doesn't have the ability to go down and hit balls that are down below the knees and go out and swing and hit that or hit the high pitch. He's got to, he's a letters to the waist guy. And if you pitch him different anywhere else, he's in trouble.
And the other thing, Robert, why we're sort of down on Kratman is he's had a great year this year. But if you look his last 4 years combined, he hasn't put back-to-back in a while. I don't have that much money. I'm sorry.
Come on, Lou.
I wish I did. But even if me and Dan work together, I don't think we can afford them.
Hey, what would that be if we put all the chats together? All of the
I don't know how much the Giants are worth, because you got to remember, because they're property owners too. So it's a lot.
You know what I would do? I would just give us the ball club. Let's sell the club to NorCal Sports Network. And
what do you think it would be? 500 million?
And the Krug Show. Oh no! If you sold the Giants, just the ballpark and the team, and they kept Mission Rock, I would say it's probably 2 to 3, at least $2 billion, billion with a B. They're worth $3.5 billion according to Forbes. But
I would see, because a buddy of mine who is a venture capitalist, they tried to buy the Phoenix Suns, and last year they sold for 6.2 NBA, but they got outbid. But you got to see, it's not only the team. You got to take care of the debt. You got to take care of the arena. There's so much behind the scenes we don't know about. It's just crazy. Rob, did you see what Robert asked you a question?
He's kidding, he says.
Would you extend Farhan's contract? Oh, only kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course not. We want winners.
I'll tell you what, if he's here next year, you're doing way more damage to the franchise, because now you're sending a message that owners do not care.
Failure is an option.
Yeah. I got to believe Buster Posey is not happy with this. If he's been put in charge of some of the baseball decisions, there's no way that Buster Posey, as competitive as he is, knowing Brian Sabian as he does, and seeing the difference between Sabes and Farhan, there's no way that I'm going to just go out and say it, guys. I think Farhan's done. I don't think they're that stupid. Maybe they are, but I got to believe that they see what's going on. And I got to believe that article that came out that said his contract is only for guaranteed for next
how
year.
It came up now this late in the year.
Yes. There's a reason. There's a reason that Laura Britt asked Mad Dog Russo about Farhan earlier in the year. I'm telling you that I think he's gone. Somebody said, please read the article in chat. Was that Ben? Is that the article from the San Francisco Chronicle?
Yeah, that's what he was saying, I think.
I don't know how to pull it up unless let me see if I can find it on my phone in Twitter. Who put it out? Who put it out, Ben? Who put the article out? Was it Slusser? Who linked it in their Twitter? Maybe it was Susan Slusser. Let me see. See if I could find this. Because she always is linking stuff.
I think the big problem with Posey is maybe Posey owns very little and they're just using his name. I don't know if you saw when they interviewed him on the golf course. Did you happen to see that on Monday?
I did. Yes, I did see that.
Okay.
Yeah. When did that article come out?
I didn't happen to see it because I didn't even know the Chronicle still exists. So it might be on SF Gate, maybe. Let me take a look. sfgate.com.
I've got the SF Gate. Somebody's got to help us here. That messed up. Today, Ben says, I'm looking. Let me open up SF Gate. See if I can go to the sports section.
Yeah, I'm looking at one that says top MLB insider San Francisco still may not fire Farhan after 2024 disaster by Alex Smith.
That's probably it. Yeah. Can you read it?
Well, there's two different ones. There's one by Alex Simmons, and then another one that says, it's bold to say the fate of the San Francisco Giants is at risk. It's also true. Farhan may not be alone in the hot seat, writes David Tubiner. T-O-B.
Yeah, Dave Tobner, yeah.
Let's see what it says.
Oh, I have Dave. Let me see. I have Dave on my follow him on Twitter. Let me pull him up.
It says it's now starting to get interesting.
Okay. My latest SF Gate. Not much to get excited about. Okay.
So there's two. The second one, which says Dave. It shows Prattman throwing across his body.
Yeah, that's the one. Let me open that up. Okay. Let me just. What is he saying here? Farhan Zaidi's job security, the most polarizing Giants front office executive since mid-2000s, Brian Sabian. Zaidi's future employment status just might be tied to how the Giants finish, regardless of the contract extension he signed last year. It's not entirely fair to lay everything that ails the Giants at Zaidi's feet, as many on social media seem eager to do. And it's clear that he has long-term budgetary parameters he must adhere to when making roster decisions. But after 2 disappointing seasons, how about 5 of 6? The Giants finally spent some money over the offseason, alibi mostly on short-term option-laden deals, only to have virtually the same results as the past 2 years. And while the farm system has produced Elliot Ramos, Tyler Fitzgerald, Ryan Walker, Kyle Harrison, Hayden Birdsong, the more heralded prospects like Marco Luciano and Luis Matos haven't progressed to where they're making contributions at the big league. Okay. All right. Bob Melvin's future.
No, but there's a thing below it. Do you see that? If the Giants crash and burn the rest of the way, it's hard to see them sticking with Farhan, since the buck must eventually stop with someone, and ownership can't fire themselves.
Oh,
if they're
okay.
in it till the end of September or even make the playoffs, that might be enough to buy him another year. But it's not in the realm of possibilities that the Giants may have an entirely new baseball op department should they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I can't. So it's an Ann Killian article from the Chronicle. Okay. Let's see if
there's more than one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, at least there's several. You know, that's something that we would normally not see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull this up some other way. Let me see. Okay. Let me see if I've got it.
I mean, you got to remember next year with the schedule, there are no Dodgers are 2 weekends, and that's it.
I've got it now. Can you? I just can't pull it up on my.
You want to just read what it says? I haven't seen it.
Let me try. I might be able to try one other way. Let me try one other way. See if I can pull it up here. Okay. Let me see if I can pull up the article. I might have it right here. I got it. Beautiful. I got it. Okay. Here we go, guys. Hold on. Got to thank Bora for helping me out there, giving me a tip. All right. This should do it. Is it? Can you see it now?
Yeah, Mr. Happy.
Yeah. Sign in to San Francisco Chronicle. What do I don't have to sign in, do I? Okay, here we go. San Francisco Giants haven't been particularly entertaining on the field this season, but that doesn't mean they don't have intriguing plot lines to follow. Lou, can you read some of that?
2 points of the Chronicle reporting on the Giants in recent days have been particularly noteworthy. This week, colleague John Shea dropped a story with surprising news that the baseball of operations, Farhan, and manager Bob Melvin do not have guaranteed contracts through 2026, as previously believed, but only through next season. A few days earlier,
yeah.
Susan Slusser wrote a story with the potential disaster of the A's being moved to Sacramento could be that ended an anonymous sports agent pointing out the problematic
relocation.
Yeah, problematic relocation would only benefit the Giants. In 10 years, the Giants. Yeah, and by the way, a couple of guys in the on the chat kept saying this, so this must be from like Monday, that in 10 years, the Giants will have more revenue than the New York Yankees. The agent said they will have all the Bay Area and half the state. They will have a AAA team in Sacramento, low A team in San Jose. They own their own stadium. They're developing around it. San Francisco, Oakland, Silicon Valley, Sacramento. The Giants are about to become the monsters of Major League Baseball.
Wow. I'll read the rest of this here. Because of a general lack of forthrightness from the Giants front office, observers are often left trying to connect dots. And these are two pretty big dots to connect. Very rich teams can make very big changes if willing. When Melvin was hired in October, the media was told his contract was through 26. At the same news conference, the Giants announced an extension for Zaidi, saying it was through 26. Turns out those were some evasive semantics. Don't ask me why all the mystery, which comes off as the team having something to hide. As the Chronicle reported this week, both contracts have the equivalent of a club option for 26. That's significant information to learn as the Giants close in on what looks to be their 7th season out of the past 8 without a winning record and the 5th of 6 under Zaidi's leadership. Thank you, Ann. Making big changes in the front office with just 1 year to buy out a contract is a lot more palatable than eating 2 years. Yes. And maybe money shouldn't even factor into the decision for a team with such a financial windfall coming. Becoming the single team in the wealthy Bay Area, what the Giants have long dreamed of and angled for, means the Giants are completely out of excuses when it comes to spending money to improve their team. And that includes swallowing contracts. Man, they could go after Soto with this, if this is, you think about it. Some fans have it out for Melvin, who has called this his hardest year. That's because this is his lifelong dream job. Expectations were sky high, and it hasn't gone well. But Melvin clearly has respect in the clubhouse and has been a more accountable, conventional manager than the one who preceded him. Melvin is not to blame because his roster has been strange and riddled with injuries, or that his projected best rotation in baseball, as Zaidi called it at the trade deadline, has not materialized. Melvin wears some of the blame for this season, but not the majority. That's why the focus is on put the focus on this guy. Farhan, he's got to go. Hey, say 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out, Farhan, at the old ball game. Okay.
So, Dan, did you see what Papa said? I didn't see this. Here, this week on KNBR, the Giants flagship station, Greg Papa made a comment in conversation with Schlesinger about Farhan. he's wildly unpopular, comparing Farhan to former GM. Oh, yeah. Remember Trent Baalke? Everybody hated him.
Yeah, Trent Baalke, yeah.
Who finally was ousted 2017 after 6 seasons as a GM. I can't remember a guy locally in his job that has been unpopular with the fan base and the media.
That is this unpopular. That's a key.
And that's sort of hard to say he's unpopular where all these sports writers are all homers. Papa's words were eyebrow raising for a couple of reasons. Comparing anyone to Baalke, who had a hand in destroying the 49ers for several years, is damning. But it was surprising to hear such a strong comment for someone who works for both local partners, NBC Sports Bay Area and KNBR. That's the problem. The Giants own, I think, 25% of KNBR, and I think they own NBC Sports Bay Area.
They do, yep.
The Giants monitor everything said and written about them.
Yep, that's
and
why
they say particularly atone to their partners.
Yeah, I think he's going to be gone. I really do. The Giants monitor everything said and written about them, and they stay particularly attuned to their partners. Papa's words likely came through the speakers throughout the executive offices. The malaise around the Giants is getting harder to ignore. Will the Giants make a change? That's hard to predict, and clues like the length of Matt Chapman's new contract would indicate such a move is unlikely. But a year ago, no one really expected the team to pull the plug on manager Gabe Kapler. That move was viewed as Zaidi finding a scapegoat for the team's failings, but the team is failing again. And
when did they fire Kapler? The last week of the season?
Yep.
Okay.
And the one constant is Zaidi. Beginning Friday, the Giants have 15 games left to play, 12 against likely playoff teams. The product on the field might not be that intriguing, but the drama off the field could be. There you go, guys. I think he's going to be gone. And if he's not, the problem is no longer Zaidi. The problem is the owners. If the Giants ownership, hold on, I got to get a little close up with this. Let me get right in here. Put myself. Look you in the camera here.
So you're speaking to the Giants.
I'm speaking to the Hey, if the San Francisco Giants do not fire Farhan Zaidi, I will not blame Farhan Zaidi next year as the problem, because the cancer is the Giants ownership. If they can't see that this guy has destroyed the club in 6 years, taking them from, 3 world championships in the 2010 decade. He takes over in 19, and they're on pace to finish 4th place the rest of this decade under his leadership. That is on the owners, because the man is only capable of doing what he's capable of doing. It no longer becomes his fault. It becomes the fault of a very passive, weak, uninspiring ownership group that says to the fans, we don't care about winning. All we care about is breaking even, because if we can break even at the gate, we're making money hand over fist with our property. You're just peasants to us. That's what I'm going to tell you. If they don't fire him, it's the owner, and I will have to lay off of Farhan, because if they don't get rid of Farhan after this year, they are blind as a bat.
And Dan, do you remember season ticket holders? They used to have sort of like a press conference where you could talk to executives after the season on what maybe the Giants can improve. You notice how they've stopped that since Farhan's been in charge? They would have Larry Bearwood come up. They'd have the GM. They'd talk, hey, guys, sorry we didn't have a great year. What do you think we need to improve? Because without the season ticket holders, we wouldn't have money to spend. We want to say thank you and everything else.
Yeah, if they want a fall guy, I'll tell you what. I may have to change my dog's name from Buster to something else if they don't fire. Wait a minute. Shohei, come here. Shohei. Where is he? Shohei. Changing his name if they don't fire Buster. I mean, if Buster doesn't fire, I'm going to have to. Where is he? He's not coming. Hey, Shohei. He's still Buster. Hey, Buster. Come on, Buster.
And I'll tell you one thing, Dan. If this will be a big sign, because the other day on the golf course, Buster spoke. If Farhan's still there, I think Buster owns maybe 2% of the team and doesn't have a say in anything. And everything they talked about is a lie.
Yeah.
It's just the name.
If Farhan is still there, Buster has no power.
No power at all.
Because there's no way that Buster thinks this baseball is good.
No.
There's no way that Buster...
And the only person, a former player that's really been negative was the first baseman for the Giants who picked up
Michael Morse
kid.
Oh, JT Snow?
JT Snow.
Well, Michael Morse on social media has hit, like...
Oh, I didn't see that. Did he say something bad too? Because JT Snow said, this is embarrassing. We're not even a 500 team. We spent $600 million.
This has got to go. The problem is the ownership entrusted Farhan to put together the team. Farhan does not know how to put together a team. And so now it's no longer Farhan's fault going forward. It's the ownership going forward. If they can't see what everybody else can see, we all see it. Who supports Farhan? Who's the people that support Farhan? Come forward. Come forward. I want to see anybody in the chat say, I'm a Farhan supporter. Please, somebody tell me that you love Farhan or you support Farhan and you think he's the man to get it done. At this point, if it goes into next year with Farhan, I just got to say,
to look forward to.
There's there's nothing you can say that's his fault anymore, because there comes a point where a guy gets promoted to a position that he's not. It's over his head, and you can't blame him if the owner wants to keep him.
I think they should do what Dan, you've been saying since day one for the last 3 years. Find out who the assistant GM is at Tampa Bay, who always is in the toughest division in baseball. Go to him, find out what he makes, double his salary, and give him 3 years and tell him, build us a winner.
It's either that or bring up.
The guy makes $1 million, pay the guy $3 million, say, make us Giants of where we should be. Because we've been saying it all year. I'm sick and tired that we're happy to be a 500 team. Guys, we're the San Francisco Giants. We have no debt. We could spend as much money as the Dodgers. We have money rolling in. When Larry Krueger was on the NorCal, most of the time when you guys are talking, he would bring up so much money that the Giants, I think it was, they bought in so much money and we only spent 62% on our payroll. So they have, you keep talking about how they're going to be almost 3 million fans. They have money. They just got to spend it the right way. And, if you notice who he spent the money on, he didn't spend like $40 million, except for Snell. He didn't really overspend on anybody. He got most guys because they were either off an injury, off a Tommy John, or they were good 5 years ago. And I don't want to see that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, George hit it right there. You need a big-time executive to run the club. We don't need an executive to run this club like a competitive, balanced, low-market club. Yeah. What we just read from Ann Killian, they're going to be the richest club in baseball in like 10 years. They got so much money. They got the whole Northern California to themselves. It's mind-boggling to me that they can continue this route. But you know what? I can speak till I'm blue in the face.
And I got the blue hat. Results. Dan, I saw the other day, I was listening to a show, and it was the first time I really thought of it. Farhan runs the Giants like your fantasy team. That's what he does. We got a lefty going. All right, I got a better righty. We don't need a righty. Let's call Seattle and do a trade.
Yeah.
You know, that's how he runs the Giants, like a fantasy team. And we talked about this. You got to have consistency. Last year, we complained. The Giants line up lefty against righty, righty against lefty. This year, we're going to be more consistent. And everything is still the same. And we're going to have a worse record this year, spending $64 million than we did last year.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I'm going to do, Lou? I am going to put you in the center. I'll be back in about 20 minutes, okay? And you want to carry on? Or
can you let me do one thing? Let me just get a water, and I'll be right back.
Okay, go for it.
Give me 1 second here. Hold on.
Go for it. All right. Well, guys, this has been a rough season, but there's not much to look forward to if Farhan's back. There really isn't. There's nothing to get excited about in the offseason. If they don't fire Farhan the day or two after the season, look, the Giants have an opportunity to make some noise here in the offseason. Going into the playoffs, imagine if the Giants fire Farhan and make a big-time hire for a new president of baseball operations, and they become the talk of the offseason. So that's what the Giants should do. Capture the moment. Because I'll tell you what, Farhan comes back for next year. Giants do not fire him. You have nothing to look forward to. Your offseason is a joke. There's nothing to get excited about. They will do what they will do. I'm going to take a break here. I've got a few things to finish up. I'll come back in about 15, 20 minutes. So
no problem.
I'm going to put Lou in charge here. Wait a minute. How can I do this? How do I do that? Would get me out of there. Here, let's do this. You know what? If I leave, I'll come back and
no problem.
Or you know what? I'll just put it on the tragic number. I'll just do that again, and everybody can look at the tragic number while I'm gone. All right. I'm going to put this on mute and move things closer to the tragic number.
No new photos to put in the funeral yet, huh?
There you go. I'll be back.
All right, perfect. Yeah, no Buster Cam either. All right, chat. You know, I thought I'd do something different just because, you know, I'm sort of sick and tired of talking about the Giants. We'll talk about a little bit different. How about a little football? Okay. You know, you guys excited about the Niners opener? Are you excited about this week? Are you guys concerned about CMC? Before we talk to that, King Cash, we went over. There are no upcoming free agents for the Giants. This year might be the worst year in 20 years. There are no free agents at all. It's the worst class of all time. That's why with the Giants, the only way we're going to get bats or get better is we're going to have to trade some of the youth. Very simple. You know, I mean, you know, we might. The problem is with the Giants, we don't really have anyone that other teams want. You know, let me ask you this. Here's something for the chat. If you were a GM of another team, who would you want from our team? Tell me that. Who would you want from the Giants? You'd have to give something up. Where I mean, that's the problem with the Giants. We don't have any superstars. Webb, again, is a solid number 2 pitcher. He's not an ace. Snell is an ace. An ace is someone like what Snell does. Webb, he's consistent. He gives you innings, but he's a solid number 2. You know? So I think it's for us to get better, it's not going to happen until 2026, unfortunately. You know? Robert brings up Harrison. What would you give up somebody for Harrison? Do you think he's that good of a pitcher right now? Harrison still needs a couple years before he's going to be above average. He can't spot the ball. His fastball's all over the place. If you remember early in the season, he hit 5 players. Birdsong, I thought tonight was great for him. But, the last month of the season, he couldn't get out of the 3rd inning. These are guys that need development. You got to give them a couple years. The other thing, and I'm going to bring this up to Robert again because I keep bringing it up, Birdsong and Harrison, this is their first year. What do teams do in the offseason the second year when they got to face Birdsong and Harrison? Right? These teams dissect their problems. So next year, you don't know if Birdsong is going to be good. You don't know if Harrison's going to be good. Just like Webb this year isn't as good as last year. Teams adapt. Different players. We don't. And yeah, if we give up Webb, here's the thing. We give up Webb and we lose Snell, we're 2 years behind. That means we have no pitchers. Are you telling me we're going to survive a whole season with Birdsong and Harrison? We still got probably our second best pitcher, who of course went back on the DL. He's only pitched 5 times since he had Tommy John. It takes for a GM, and this is what I learned from Ned the other day, is for you to trade somebody, you got to get somebody a little bit better. And the Giants right now just don't have any players that are worth trading for. For us to get somebody like a stick, let's just throw it out there, a good stick, we would need to trade Webb and probably Ramos and probably one other person to get just a decent bat. Because you got to remember, Webb, the best thing about Webb is he's got a friendly contract. I think 3 more years, and he's only making, I think, $11 million a year. The average starting pitcher makes 20. That's the best thing about Webb. But, Birdsong and Harrison, they need a couple more years, guys. It's very bleak. We're just not that good. Plus, you got Farhan making it all up. We have nobody. I don't mean to be so negative, but, I go to the games. I see we don't have talent. We have guys that on a scale of, we have a lot of like C+ players. But when you see the Dodgers, they have 3 ace players, and they got a couple Bs. You go to the Padres, they have 3, I'd say 2 A players, 5 B players. You go to Arizona, their best, and you guys talk about injuries. Arizona's best player, they lost and they still went like 18-4, but they got 1 A player, about 6 B players, and they're young. The thing about you guys keep realizing is the Dodgers, Ohtani's young, Padres are really young, Arizona's super young. So yeah, I think Turd Ferguson, great point. Ramos isn't moving the needle on any teams. We only think our players are good because we're not that good to begin with. Our players are average at best. If you look, do you think Yaz, except for maybe Colorado, would be on the Dodgers, Arizona, or the Padres? He wouldn't start. He'd probably be the 24th best player on the team. That's it. The Giants just don't have anybody. We have nobody. I mean, the one thing, we bought this other night with Ned, Ohtani right now is going to do something no player's ever done, 50-50. We had Bonds, right, which was so unique. I still think, he cheated, but it was great for the ballpark. The place was rocking. But guess how many championships when we had Bonds did we win? Tell me on the chat how many rings Bonds gave us. Does anybody know? All right, World Series. Tell me how many World Series Bonds gave us. 0. You got to have a team. It's awful. And the problem is our farm system, supposedly our best player, he's in AA. He's not going to be here until 2026. 0. Everyone's saying we have 0 players. Yeah, that's correct. We're average at best. Philip brings up a good point. Ramos has had a great year. But how many times do you guys see a rookie have a great first year and then they have the sophomore jinx? Because teams find out their weaknesses. That's what good coaches do in the offseason. It's, I'm reading some of these comments. So it says, we haven't had anybody. Is anybody aware of, I don't know if I brought this up, but this year was it, since Bonds retired, was the 18th straight year we've had a different left fielder on opening day. Different left fielder. Does anybody remember who our left fielder was 2 years ago? He only was with our team for 2 weeks. Connor Joe, who's now with Pittsburgh. It's incredible. So, one of those things, the Giants, and this is why if the Giants and Farhan did the job last year, we'd be 1 year closer to having our players what we need. So I'm still amazed we won 3 World Series. But again, that goes to we had players that wanted to play, put their egos down, and we had the best manager in the business, and we had a great bullpen. 2010, 12, and 14. You guys got to remember, it got to the 6th inning. It was over. 2014, we had a once-in-a-lifetime mad bum, which, will never, ever, ever happen again. But, that's Mike Gerber. Who in the hell is Mike Gerber? Turd Ferguson. Never heard of Mike Gerber. Is he the guy that invented Gerber kids food? Never heard of him. But yeah, the Giants, you guys got to remember, Giants are in the toughest division in baseball. And this year they were happy that, hey, maybe we might be the 3rd wild card. That's horrible. Horrible. We got to try to get a team where we can consider winning the division. Now, I know the fluke happened in 2021, but that'll never happen again. As Dan pointed that out, that might have been the worst thing ever to happen because Farhan probably would have been gone already, but we're stuck with him. But hey, this is what I want to do. Let's forget about this year. Let's do this. Can somebody, of course I remember Fred Lewis. I want to know, beside Bonds and beside Will Clark, your top 2 players offensively for the Giants since you've been a fan. And we can talk about that. Let's talk about something good. I'll tell you guys who my favorite player was, and we can go back to Candlestick. I was a big fan of Darrell Evans. I liked him. And then my other favorite player, because the Giants never steal anymore, was a guy named Billy North. I don't know if you remember, he played across town, but I love Billy North as our center fielder. Outlaw Deion Sanders. I think he only played that 1 year, but I'll give you that. And Jeff Kent, remember, we got him through a trade. Let's see who else. Mitchell was great. I mean, my God, the first game he played, I was there at Chicago. In fact, if you guys watch the highlights, he had 2 homers, and they didn't even have his name on the back of the uniform. It was pretty cash. It was great. Let's see. Rob C. Mike Sadak, huh? Tuna. Do you remember his nickname was Tuna? And then you got George, Jack Clark, and Matt Williams. Boy, Jack Clark, the Ripper. He was pretty crazy. Let's see. Rob C. Mike Ivy. Here's a stat. I don't know if you remember this, but the year Mike Ivy hit the grand slam off Don Sutton, I believe it might have been Father's Day, if I remember right, on a 2-0 pitch, 64,099 at the stick. Great call, by the way. Later that year, one of our players was Terry Whitfield. And Terry Whitfield was 4 for 4 in a game. And for his 5th at-bat, he got pitch hit because they bought in a lefty. And Mike Ivy came in and he hit a grand slam. He was the first player of the Giants since they moved out here that actually had 2 grand slams in a season for the Giants. Let's see some other favorite players. Bobby Knepper. Giants should have never got rid of him. He wound up going to Houston because he signed a contract because the Giants were too cheap to keep Bob Knepper. Huge loss. Ellis Burks, great player. Giants should have won it that year. But, you got to remember 2010 and 12, we weren't the best team. I believe that year, in 2000, we had the best team. First year at the new ballpark, and it just didn't work out. It happens. Willie McGee. Someone about Willie McGee. Boy, I think he was with us, 2 years? But, God, he was such a great Cardinal. Not saying he was a bad Giant for the couple of years, but, boy, what a great St. Louis Cardinal. What a great player overall. Remember what his nickname was? E.T. Willie McGee looked like E.T., the character. Yeah, there he goes. Who will replace Farhan? Somebody asked. And then I'll go back over my favorite players. Yeah, Kim Ning, that came out like in April this year. They were talking about bringing her in. If it works, I have no problem. I don't care who it is. I just want someone good. Galarraga, still the farthest ball I ever hit. He hit a ball, and it almost hit the mitt. It hit actually the very last row of the bleachers. Boy, he was a great Giant for his brief period. Terry Whitfield, loved his batting stance. Great with the fans. Back at Candlestick, where my seats were this year, as if you saw where my seats are when we had the drawing, I sit on the third base. At Candlestick, that was the visiting team. But Terry Whitfield would always come over, always sign autographs. He was fantastic. And you were talking about how good he was with the kids. I used to run into him. I don't know if you guys remember, because it's no longer there, but in Redwood City, where Marine World actually used to be, they had batting cages, and Terry Whitfield used to actually hang out there. Let's see who else. Phil, Rob Nen. Boy, if it wasn't for his arm, what a great Giant reliever he was. Unbelievable. Gary Maddox, Gary Matthews, Bonds. Early 70s. What about Gary Foster? You remember that? And we traded him. But yeah, Maddox and Matthews were unbelievable in the 70s. Let's see. Ben Bam Boom. My dad and I used to make fun how ugly McGee was. He looked like E.T. But boy, could he play. Turd Ferguson, Champ Summers. That was one of the first free agents I remember the Giants picking up, the lefty. Great player. All right, Benito Santiago, another great player. He was a leader on that field. Great catcher, always would hit in the clutch. Let's see. Somebody brought up a great point. Oh, Ryan Garko. Come on, Milky Cabrera. Cabrera was good with us for a half a year. The best thing about Milky, I don't know if everyone remembers, when Milky, he carried us the first half of the season. He won us the All-Star game, so we got to host, if you remember that, since we won the National League, that All-Star game, the National League would host. But then, unfortunately, cheated. Milky cheated and cost us. And what happened? We had that was us against the Dodgers in that great, great, great year. And we wound up winning the division. But, we made some key trades. That was the key. Let's see who else. Oh, Jose Uribe. I forgot. Shortstop. Great player. Rob Nen. That was the one thing about Dusty. Rob Nen. And then who was our other? Oh, Rod Beck. Boy, he I tell you, Dusty would overpitch the bullpen. By the time we tried to get to the playoffs, we had nothing left. Uribe, Thompson, to Clark was the best double play for a while. Agreed. And what was great is, remember, Robbie and Will Clark, rookies that year. So, and Uribe was young too. They were all young. Scooterode, a.k.a. Blockbuster. People forget. He still doesn't know why people call him Blockbuster, because that's what the Giants are missing. If you guys remember during the playoffs, Scooterode must have hit 680 during the playoffs. He was unbelievable. The Giants don't have a guy like right now, like we've been talking about, that can actually make contact like that. Outlaw, Big Daddy, the best punter I'd ever seen. He's still the only pitcher I know that they would pinch hit to make sure. And he had no speed, but he bunted incredible. The shooter, yeah. Mr. Beck unfortunately left us, but he put it all on the line. Ferguson, great thing. Brett Butler, he's the last real leadoff hitter. We haven't had a real leadoff hitter since Brett Butler, and we haven't had a good bunter since Brett Butler. Dan, what I'm doing is I'm having everybody beside Bonds and Will Clark tell me your two favorite players, either a Candlestick or the new ballpark, and we've been going. Fear the Beard. You got to remember, guys, without Fear the Beard went down the first week of the season in 2012. Remember that? But great pitcher. Here's a guy that gave his all for the Giants. And then what did the Giants do when he went to LA? Do you remember, Dan, they wouldn't even give him a ring? There was a problem with him and Larry Bear,
Yeah. So what's the question again?
So beside Will Clark and Bonds, name your top two favorite Giant players.
Of all time, or
Candlestick or an Oracle.
Okay.
So a lot of guys are coming up saying Terry Whitfield.
Yeah.
A couple guys said Mike Ivy.
Only two? You're only going to give me two?
That's it. There's a lot of people on the chat. I'm trying to give everybody a chance.
I've got so many from the old days. But
see, here's the great one. Turd Ferguson, the Candy Man and the Hack Man.
I was just thinking those two guys. Funny, you took those two guys. I was thinking those two guys, but Candy wasn't. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go with I named my dog Buster. You can't just limit the host to. I'm the owner of the show, right? Don't I get three?
Okay. Since you're so old, we'll give you three. You and Robert.
Yeah, I got to go with Buster, but I'm going to go Dave Dravecki. We had him on the show a week ago. I love the man. I love what he stands for. Such a competitor. So I'm going to pick Dave Dravecki, but I'm going to go back to.
You didn't hear my two, so you probably.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to my teenage years.
There you go.
When I was 14 years old, 15 years old, in 1976, I was 15, and I towed the mound, and I thought I was number 26.
26.
I thought I was number 26, and I had his wind up. And I had the Italian heritage, Montefusco, Coach Emilio. So I'm going with the Count.
Dan, did you ever go to his restaurant by the North Point Theater?
I never did. No.
Okay.
I had moved out away. I was gone from the Bay Area from 1981 when I left for college. My first year was community college in the Bay Area at Los Madonnas College, Pittsburgh, and then I went down to San Diego, Point Loma College, and then I never moved back. I ended up living in Southern California from 1982 on, and then I moved. I was there till 97 and moved to Connecticut, and then I came to Arizona. But so I have not spent as much time in the Bay Area. I get up there, but when you're up there only for a few days, you don't get to do all the things you want. If it wasn't for the way the state was being run, I'd probably move back. But
well, Dan, I'll tell you who my two were growing up. One was Billy North.
Yep.
Loved him. And then
number one. Didn't he wear number one? Yeah.
Yeah. And my favorite player, and it was really because he always would come over because his wife sat literally 2 steps from me, but Darrell Evans.
Oh, yeah.
First baseman, third baseman.
I love Darrell
Evans. The only power hitter we had.
Did he wear number 43? Was he number 43?
He was 41, I believe.
41, maybe.
41 or 44. I can't remember.
No, it wasn't 44. That's retired.
Yeah, so really 41. Matters.
41, that's right.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, so
I love Darrell.
That was Darrell was a stud player, and then back then, that was when the All-Star game was so exciting when the Giants was there. Like I'll never forget when Gary Lavelle pitched 3 innings, 9 up, 9 down.
Yeah.
But he didn't get MVP. Unfortunately, Don Sutton did. But, that's when we had Greg Mitten, Gary Lavelle.
Yep, the Moon Man.
People forget back then, guys, the playoffs were literally just National League and American League. And then they made it so it was in our division was the Reds, the Dodgers, Houston Astros, the Giants, and would have been the Padres, I guess. And these are times when Houston was great. The Reds were great. You really had to have a great year to do it. All right, let's see. There you go. Tampa Bay. We were just talking about this.
That's not the same Carlos Rodriguez on NBC Sports Bay Area, is it?
Yeah, that guy, Mr. Marbles, he's horrible. Guy still can't talk because he wears a retainer. And by the way, that post-game show, this is why you should always listen to NorCal and Larry Krueger's post-game show for the Niners. Carlos Rodriguez and Rod Brooks are horrible.
Ramirez. Carlos Ramirez. That's what it is.
It's the worst post-game show ever. You can't understand them. They're talking about stuff we're not sure of. If they didn't have Hitman on there, it's the worst show. How that guy has a job, pre- and post-game show for everything. He must own part of Comcast Bay Area because he's horrible. Maybe he's friends with Farhan because I don't know how else that guy has a job. But we were just talking about this, the Tampa Bay executive.
Wow. Yeah, we'll have to check him out. Carlos Rodriguez, Tampa Bay Rays executive. Philip Coppola says 100% Los. Let's we could take a quick look at him here. Carlos.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something a little bit different because everyone's going to bring up Bonds, and a lot of people bought up the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper, number 22.
Yep. That's why when you see Clark, you got to ask him which one.
I know. I had the Jack Clark jersey as a kid. I had the orange one.
And I still remember that homer off Tom Niedenfuhr when he was with the Cardinals.
And you know what? I'll tell you this. That was probably about $100 when I bought that thing in 1978, 79, whatever that was, with Jack Clark. That was no cheapies like they sell you today with the
because that was when Starter did it. Everything was top of the line. Starter.
Oh, man, it was nice. It was beautiful. It had a nice embroidered number, and it was thick. Nick, our man, donates $5 and says,
"Oh, Bill Miller, how are you?"
Bill Miller, Ned Coletti loved him too and brought him down to the Dodgers.
Yeah. And I remember when he went to Boston, he was a great Giant.
Yeah.
And I think we drafted him, right? And he went through our system, and then unfortunately we couldn't afford him again. And you remember, look at that, Bill. I never saw Bill Miller spelled that way.
Yeah. You know what? Let me see if I can pull something up, and I will show you something pretty cool if I can find it. Let me see.
Strawberry was 2 years as a Giant.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, wrong channel.
Bill Miller, how are you?
Yeah. Bill Miller. You know what I want to do?
Solid.
I want to go to hold on here.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Dan? I also remember we had a lot of guys, beside Candy that were great Dodgers, and then they came to the Giants and they were great Giants.
Right.
Candy Maldonado, Reggie Smith, boy, that year in August when you bought up where the Giants, I think, went like 20-6. And Reggie Smith, the switch hitter, had an incredible year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Reggie Smith, that was awesome.
You hated him as a Dodger, but loved him as a Giant.
Right. Absolutely. You know what? Let's do this. Hold on.
Yeah, so somebody brought up a point. Blockbuster, you remember who basically helped us out win the whole thing?
Yeah.
We have nobody that can make contact like that constantly. That's why he was such a big trade. We got him from Colorado. He hit everything. He won the playoffs for us in 2014 and 2012.
You guys, Nick reminded me of something about Bill Miller, and I want to.
Sure, let's hear it.
You guys, can you see Ron Wotus there?
Oh yeah.
All right, we're here with San Francisco Giants. I guess coach, still not officially a coach, but been a coach with the Giants since 1990 or 88, was it? 97.
98.
Yeah, with Dusty.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, Ron Wotus here, known as Woe in the clubhouse and to many of the Giants fans. Ron, you're down here in spring training. What are you doing with the club this year? Do you have any specific assignments that you're working with the club?
Well, I'm doing the same thing I did last year. I'm here to help the coaches and help the players get better. So I communicate a lot with the coaches, give them my opinions, and same thing with the players. Have conversations with them, see how they're doing, and trying to help get them better. So I enjoy being around the players. I enjoy helping the players. So it's a great situation for me to be able to come back into spring training for a couple of weeks and do that.
That's excellent. Now, are you going to be visiting some of the minor league camps during the season as well?
Yes, I will. I'll go over to minor league camp. I won't stay here the whole time, but during the season, I will go. I'll go to quite a bit to Sacramento, AAA, do the same type thing, and in San Jose, I go quite a few games. I'll probably make it out to AA, and we'll see where else I can fit into the schedule. I'd like to be able to get to see some of the prospects and the players, and the Dominican. And in the other cities as well. So we'll see how it goes. But the majority of my time will be in the major leagues, Sacramento and San Jose.
Great. Now, Larry Krueger, when he was on the radio show, he had Will Clark on, and he asked Will who Will was excited about down on the farm, and he mentioned two players. He mentioned Casey Schmidt and Vaughn Brown. Do you have any players that stand out to you that you're pretty excited to see someday up at the big club?
Well, those are a couple of younger guys that are considered real nice prospects, just as Luciano is. He's a little further away with the injury last year. But I think we're deeper this year. The players that are in camp, Asan Diaz behind us right here, all the guys that are fighting for that last spot on the club, I think we have some better options this year. So, and then there's the pitching side of it. We have a plethora of arms that we'll need throughout the season, but everybody's healthy. There's not a whole lot of spots open, but I expect one or two on the pitching staff could open up, but there's not much more than that. So it's going to be a good competition. We got a lot of nice players to choose from.
Any strategies that you might share with Gabe, like with the new pitch clock? This is a year old, example, by the way, guys. The thought came to me, if you're warming a guy up in the bullpen and you're going to intentionally walk a guy and you need that pitcher in the bullpen to get some more pitches in, why not just take 4 violations and eat up, a minute or better on the mound?
Yeah, well, that's a great thought. I think, we have conversations every day in our meetings. Different things are coming up with the coaches, different strategies. But right now, just getting the players acclimated to the clock, the new rules, is probably the most important thing for us. But I agree with you, as this thing progresses and people get more comfortable with the clock and the nuances of it, I think you'll see people trying to take advantage and circumvent the rules in some degree to help slow the game down, to help get more time, because the clock does move awfully quick. And this has always been a thinking man's game, and we're losing some of that with the clock. So I think see a lot of it maybe late in the spring, but during the season, you're probably going to see some things, people trying to take advantage of that.
Right. Could you see Major League Baseball maybe tinkering with this during the season, such as, the NBA has rules at the end of a game, NFL, the clock stops when they go out of bounds in the last 4 minutes. Could you see where maybe they either increase the pitch clock in the 8th and 9th innings, or maybe do away with it altogether, just because games get more tense at the end of the game, and rushing guys just doesn't seem like baseball.
Well, I think MLB really wants to implement these rules, and I think they're going to do everything.
I'm going to scroll forward to the question about.
I saw a thing about Bill.
Yeah, here we go.
By the way, when we went on the field with the raffle winner, he was right in front of us. Could not have been nicer.
Wow. Here we go. I think you'd make a great manager personally. Would love to see you back in the game as a manager, as you managed in the minors for the Giants for several years. Last question regarding this. This might make you think a little bit, but what's one player that made it to the major leagues? Maybe you were coaching him or watched him in the minors that surprised you, that said, wow, that guy, I wasn't sure he was going to make it, and he just excelled.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of players. There's so many of them that, you grade their tools. That's why we were taught. You grade out their tools, and they're not always the best tools, but you can't measure a person's determination and their heart and the intangibles. And there's so many guys that I could talk to. And this guy didn't surprise me that he got to the big leagues. But if you grade him out, his tools weren't off the chart. And I think it's a name that everybody knows, so I'll use him as the example. The third baseman, Bill Miller, that played for the Giants, he had a tremendous career. I think a lot of people knew he was going to be a major leaguer, but couldn't predict that he would have the career that he had with his tool set that he did have. So I think that's a great example of how you can't measure a person's heart and what's inside of them. He had a tremendous career for the ability and tools that he possessed.
Yeah, he was quite the hitter. Amazed me. What amazed me about Bill Miller was just the pronunciation of his name. When you look at his name, I always thought it was Muller.
Right. That's it. Well, we called him Bill Mueller. We called him Bill Mueller for 3 years in the minor leagues until his mom family came over and heard him announced as Mueller, and she cleared it up, and then we changed the pronunciation. But for 3 years, Bill was such a good kid. He never told anybody.
Oh, that's amazing.
Everybody call him Mueller for 3 straight years.
That's amazing. By the way, happy birthday. I understand it's today, Friday, March 3rd, your birthday. Well, happy birthday, Ron.
Thanks
for your time. All right.
All right. Well, you know what? You hear everything here on NorCal Sports.
Wow. I'm not sure if we played that before for everybody.
No, that's the first time I heard that. That's awesome.
But Bill Miller, man. Hey, and Ron Wotus. It just came to me. I remembered that question when I interviewed Woe. And so, Woe should have got a shot as the manager.
I don't know why they didn't give him a shot. And they interviewed him a couple times.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it. He knows the baseball. He knows the club. He won at the minor league level. People respect him in the organization. It's really a shame the way the organization has faltered so badly. And, the sad thing is, Lou, we're going to be right back here in the same situation next year if they strike out this offseason.
And we said that last year. You should have gave the youth another year of experience. We'd be a year ahead.
Yep.
And then who knows? With his interview today where he wants to bring in more old-timers, we might be stuck again.
Yes, exactly.
And as I pointed out a couple of weeks ago, what I'm excited about next year when we see the Dodgers, we're going to have to go against a great pitcher in Ohtani. So remember that. It's only going to get worse.
Yep. Hold on a second. I got cords tangled here.
We got problems. Buster's upset because you called him by a different name.
Yeah, I know. There we go. I got my...
So a couple of you guys are going to the game tomorrow night. Friday night, Oracle, good luck. You get to see the Padres.
Who's going tomorrow?
Who is that? Is that Sardell? Is he Sports Talk Channel?
Oh, yeah. Chardall. What are you doing, Chardall?
He's going with his best friend.
You're wasting your money.
He's probably a Padre fan. Why not see the best team in baseball?
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of hats up here, Have I worn every hat this year? Let's take a look. Hold on here. What happened here? All right. Let's take
By
a
the way,
peek.
the Giants are not going to win 4 games again at home.
All right. I have worn every team in the West. I have worn every team. I'm wearing the Brewers hat. I've worn every team in the National League Central. I have worn every team in the National League East. I've worn every team in the National League West. Yeah, they played the Angels this year, right?
Yeah, we lost 2 out of 3.
That's right. I even wore the White Sox hat.
Yeah, that's
twice. No, once.
I think, when you really think about it, after the All-Star break, Colorado took 2 out of 3 against us at Colorado. The Dodgers then took 3 out of 4. And then when we came home and Miami almost swept us 2 out of 3. And then the White Sox almost 2 out of 3. That, right there, you win half those games, you're over 500.
Yeah, there's only 2 hats I have not put on this year. And they're right there, Baltimore and KC.
Oh, God, we get to play them at home.
How many
at times? Their home.
How many times will I wear those hats combined? 4?
Yeah,
5?
at least.
4?
We'll probably lose both 2-1, 2-1.
You think wouldn't shock me if I wear those Phil, 2 hats.
AJ Pollock. The guy, he was a player for less than 3 days. He got freedom.
Yeah. Wouldn't shock me to wear those hats
5 out of 6.
5 out of 6 days. Yeah. Wouldn't shock me. Well, guys, we have taken you to the limit here. You guys have been great. I appreciate the likes. They went up sky high. Let me look at them right now. Let's see where they're at. The likes for right now, as we sit here and look at the show. Hold on here. I got to wait till the ad finishes. We've got 53 likes. Can we get it to 65?
Come on, guys.
We're going to end the show. Just all you do, take your phone. See, we're on there, Lou. Little delay. You're on yourself, Lou. Hello, self. Hey, you got the TVG shirt. I love it.
I won in the handicapping contest.
Great channel. I love that channel.
Yeah, it's now called FanDuel.
Yeah. So I see 53 likes right there. See that?
Yep.
Where is it? I can't see my where is it? Where is the like?
Still 53.
Where do you see it? Oh, there it is, down there.
It's right above your name.
53 likes. Guys, go hit that like button and watch it change. There it is. 54,
there we go.
55.
Right off the bat.
Come on, 65, guys. Just hit the like. All you got to do is hit the like.
Thanks, Marcos. Red and gold.
If you make a chat, like I can make a chat. I could say, great show. Look, now I put this great show. Now watch it. It'll come in. There it is in the chat. See? Now to get out of the chat, I hit this X button right there. And then I can hit the like button. Let me see. I hit it myself. 56. I forgot to hit it myself. Come on. Make it 65. We got 5 minutes to go before the show has to end. Someone said 57. 57. Do I hear 58? Also, there's a few of you in the chat. All you got to do is go hit it. Hey, those of you on YouTube, X, go over to YouTube, NorCal Sports, hit subscribe.
Or just your name. It pops up.
Yeah, and hit like. Yeah, we're 57. I think we can get to 60. Come on. Hey, I'm 63. Get to 63. Give me my age. Give me my age. 59. Give me my age. That will make me feel good. That will make me feel like.
Dan, do you know who's pitching tomorrow for the Gyros?
They're off tomorrow.
We're off on Friday?
Tomorrow. Oh, that's right. I keep doing this second week in a row.
The Padres for 3.
Second week in a row. I keep thinking tomorrow's Thursday and
and
today was Wednesday.
When we had the holiday on that weird day.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Tomorrow. Hey, we're at 60. Okay. Tomorrow pitching for the Gigantes is. Let's take a look at the matchups. Logan Webb against Dylan Cease, a rematch.
Ooh, good matchup. Chardell will have fun watching that. Remember, they just went against each other the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
In San Diego.
And then Saturday's matchup is Joe Musgrove against Mason Black.
Oh, they're going to – okay, so we get Mason to see.
And then Sunday, it's Landon Roop. Oh, good. Against Martin Perez. Well, that's good. That's pretty awesome to see Landon.
The young guys are going to have to show up. They're going against a great hitting team.
Yeah. Hey guys, hit that like button. We're almost there. We've got how many likes we got? We got 60. Wait, I'm in the wrong one. 62. We're one more to go to match my ancient age here. 63. We're there. You guys are awesome, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I should do that more often. I don't do that enough. And then I think when we get the likes out there more, it pumps the show out to more people. So
yeah, the political ads are out of control.
Oh yeah. But do we have political ads on our show too?
Every time. Kamala and Obama asking for $5.
Oh, geez.
I write him back. I take it off. It comes back up. I said, no, I'd rather be a member of NorCal Sports for $5. Thanks.
All right. Hey, thanks, Louis. Appreciate it. He says he's got 4 accounts. I love it. Love it. So awesome, guys. Great work. Great night. Tomorrow night, we'll come back with a little later show because it's a 7:15 start. So, Lou, you going to any games this weekend?
No, I had tickets for yesterday, but I gave them to a client. Now he never wants to talk to me anymore. I go, my God, they scored. They got 17 hits, 14 runs, the best game of the year, and you're complaining? Can't win.
Why is he upset? Because you gave him.
Once you're up 10-0, he said he was bored. I said, "Well, God, you were lucky to see that." Giants scored more than they did the whole homestand.
Yeah, they got more runs tonight than they'll get the rest of this homestand.
Yeah, and then the only game I have is Saturday when the Cardinals come. Well, that's the last homestand.
Yeah. Well, cool. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow night. Lou, you available tomorrow night?
I'm available.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
About 10 o'clock tomorrow. Louis says he'd rather go to the Sharks game. Yeah, and we got to leave you with this a little banner here, guys. There it is. Fire Farhan now, please, please, please. Come on, owners. You got to get it done. You got to fire Farhan, or we're not going to blame Farhan next year. We're going to blame you because you will be the problem. You are the problem if you don't get it done. And we're up to 65 likes, man. Awesome.
There we go. Good way
to go. Way to go, chat. All right. All right. Well, let's get the band out and all right, everybody. Thanks for joining NorCal Sports Network. Appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow night after Giants-Padres game. Have a great night, everybody.